I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, it's Saturday. Let's get back to one of my kind of motivational blogs, the ones that I enjoy doing a lot. I know I've kind of fallen away from that leading up until Christmas because I've been away a bit, but I'll do my best to try and get, at least 6 videos in a month, hopefully 8. Stay tuned. I love doing these blogs, but sometimes it's just a time thing for me, and it's tough for me to get into my little studio here and get these shot. But I had an interesting, I'm going to call this one Taking Ownership of Your Life. And when I was away on vacation here over the holidays, I was reading the Wall Street Journal every day delivered to my door. And there was, of course, every single day there was another article on inflation there. Inflation, as we all know, is a hot topic. It's running hot. The inflation rate came out last month at 6.8%, which is, highest it's been in over 2 decades. Although, if you do back out auto and gasoline in there, it puts it more like about 4.9 core inflation. Now a lot of people too in the Wall Street Journal are saying, that it's, give it some time here. Some of this is going to be transient, which I think so. I don't think it's going to stay at this type of rate for the next year. I think it will come down a bit because after all, we're still in COVID. We've still got a lot of restrictions with COVID. We've got supply chain problems. We've got employment numbers that are still low. Some of that will be alleviated, I think, as we move to 2022. But make no bones about it, inflation is here, and it's we've been lucky the last 15 or 20 years here. A lot of people have never seen inflation above 3%. It's been decades. So we're living in an inflationary environment here where everything's starting to cost more, and it's going up every trip you go to the grocery store. But the article in Wall Street Journal was that it had a survey on household inflation concerns, and it said that a lot of it is binary, meaning that Americans either are really concerned about inflation, deeply concerned, or they don't really have much care of it at all. They don't give a shit. And there's no in between. And I would agree. For me, yeah, inflation sucks. I got to pay another $2 for that can of protein powder, or I got to pay another $3 for that steak at the restaurant. Yeah, who wants to pay that? But is it going to make a huge difference to me in the overall scheme of things? No. And is it going to affect how I live? Am I going to, instead of buying 2 cans of protein, only going to buy 1? No. I'm going to live the same lifestyle that I do. But for a lot of Americans and Canadians, that's not the case. They're living paycheck to paycheck, and it's extremely difficult. It makes a big difference to them, and they have to adjust their lifestyle accordingly. Now, how many times, and why I wrote my book, I talked about, taking ownership of your financial situation. The government is not your friend. They're not going to help you. Your employer doesn't care for the most part. You're on your own with this. And if you take some steps when you're young, get into the habit of paying yourself first, getting your money working for you, it will alleviate a lot of this stress that comes with the cost of living and inflation and housing prices and everything else. Too many people, I've talked about this many times, are living in fear. And a lot of this is brought on by the media. They watch CNN or CBC, which is tries to keep you in a constant state of fear. 90% of what they talk about is fear-based. Tune out a lot of that stuff will go a great deal in helping you see things in a more positive light and taking control of your own destiny here. Because otherwise, you're kind of like a cork on the ocean. If you were going to set sail here to an island 300 miles away, let's say, most smart people would put a plan of action in place, get a GPS system, get a map, plan out their itinerary before they set sail. The alternative to that would be just getting in a boat and heading off in that direction and hope you get to that island. Only a fool would do that. It's the same thing with your financial situation, whether that's buying a house or saving retirement. You're not going to get there if you don't have a plan and set some things in place early. Paying yourself first, getting that money working for you in ETFs, buying good quality stocks, maxing out your TFSA and RRSP, buying your first home, which is always the first step, as opposed to becoming a long-term renter. Being a long-term renter will devastate you financially. It will. You are behind the 8 ball incredibly if you have to rent for more than 3, 4, 5 years. Nothing wrong with renting short-term while you're saving for the down payment, but commitment number one should be to get that down payment. Because once you've got it and you're approved for a mortgage, it's smooth sailing after that. It's about the same as what you're paying for rent. Interesting article here in Bloomberg. It talked about how young investors are more likely to drop their advisors and do it yourself. I love these articles. In 2019, there were 847,000 direct investment accounts. So that would be like a TD Waterhouse or a Scotia iTrade or Royal Direct. In 2022, a year later, 2.3 million, more than doubled. Like to see that. A lot of that was because of COVID, of course. People had more time on their hands and started trading these meme stocks. And it talked about that as well, how, you know, some of these companies like AMC and GameStop, of course, you're getting devastated on this. And how, you know, that's not investing, it was speculating. And that's where you have to be careful about doing it yourself. Do it the right way. That doesn't mean investing in GameStop or Peloton or these high flyers that kind of pump and dump stock. You get in and then the bottom drops out. Those aren't companies that you buy and hold for retirement. They're trading stocks. And unless you've got $2 or $3 million in a portfolio and you've got some mad money, you should be staying away from those type of companies, which this article did. Some people saw another article in the Wall Street Journal, you know, the right idea, wrong stock. And it talked about these diamond hands that are holding on to AMC. It's gone from $65 down to $20. You know, but they're holding tight because, hey, I'm a buy and hold investor. Well, buying and holding is fantastic, but you've got the wrong stock to buy and hold. Buy and hold Google or Amazon or Apple or Home Depot or Visa or Johnson & Johnson or the Canadian banks. You do not hold Peloton or AMC or GameStop. Those companies are not investable names, and their stock price shows that, how quick the bottom falls out on these. GameStop has dropped incredibly. Peloton has dropped 74% this year. Now, if you bought it early, you're still probably up a bit on Peloton, but it's not a long-term investable company, in my opinion, or at least not one you'd want to buy. There are just so many better companies out there. So it's what I've said for a long time, to do the 100 or 150 hours, and these guys recommended in this article as well. If you're going to do it yourself and get rid of a financial advisor, which I agree with, because the financial advisors are incredibly expensive and they don't do a very good job, most of them. Some might. Or if you want to go with a financial advisor, go with a pay for service type advisor who will charge you an hourly rate to set up your portfolio, usually on an online brokerage. And then you can consult with them once a year to help balance your portfolio. They're not tied to commission. And they're a fiduciary usually as well, which means they've got to work in your best interest, not on what pays them the most commission. But if you're going to do it yourself, it is a slippery slope. I agree with these guys that so many of them are doing it the wrong way, buying the wrong stocks. They're not investing. They're speculating in a lot of cases. But it's good to see that people are taking control of this stuff and doing them themselves, which I've always said you should. Remember, the best way to start is just buy good quality, low-cost ETFs through Vanguard or iShares. That will do 90% of what all you guys need. The best website for resources on that is Canadian Couch Potato. It's an incredible site, free. They have their model portfolios in there. Just copy one of their model portfolios through Vanguard. It's going to cost you 6 to 8 basis points, virtually nothing. It's set it and forget it. Just keep reinvesting more money in every month. Keep reinvesting the dividend. That's going to do the trick for most of you. Down the road, if you've got an interest in it and you want to learn more about individual stocks, then by all means start investigating and learning about companies like Apple or Nvidia, or Visa or Costco or whatever else. But buy the best. Buy these good quality names. Don't speculate. Don't trade. Trading in and out is really a fool's game. It's really bad in real estate, as I've often said, because the friction costs are incredibly high. But there's all kinds of numbers out there about people that if you buy the S&P 500, if you miss just the 5 best days of the year in the S&P 500, your returns are cut in half. And that's the way the stock market goes. It goes in these massive jolts up, treads water, goes down for a few days. But it's why you always want to be in the market and why I'm always in the market as well. So take control of your destiny here. Don't be like a cork on the ocean bobbing around. You want to be like a freighter, a 1,000-pound freighter. And that means getting your money working for you, paying yourself first, having an emergency fund. There's not enough working hours in the day to retire comfortably. You've got to take some of that money and put it into good quality equities, max out your TFSA and RRSP, and buy your principal residence. That should always be the first step. When you start doing these things, by the time you get into your late 30s, 40s, early 50s, like I said in my book, these external things like inflation and the economy and your employer don't have a big impact on you anymore, because now you're generating $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year in passive income. And that's what you want to be. You want to be bulletproofed. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, have a good weekend. I'll see you next week.